Hello and welcome, dear listeners, to episode 256 of The Reformed Gamers, the show all about theology, video games, and all I want for Christmas is you. I'm your host, Logan.
Logan, you can't be making me laugh so early in the episode. You know, I got a little sick, and you're gonna get me coughing.
Yeah, man.
I'm Micah. I'm his co-host. I'm here too. Not feeling the best, but gonna try to get through this episode without coughing my brains out.
He's here nonetheless. Well, you know, Micah, I've heard that laughter is the best medicine, and
It's good.
you know, maybe there's some listeners, viewers, watching this on YouTube, and they're feeling a little down. You know, maybe they're not feeling 100%. And I'm just going to let people know or let people see what I was referencing in my intro there. Because as I was telling Micah and the patrons before we hit the record button here and got into the show proper, today is Ugly Christmas Sweater Day at my school, and I'm still rocking mine. So if you are on YouTube, you are about to see my ugly Christmas sweater right now. So let me stand up so y'all can see it on camera and bask in its glory.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
It's so hideous. It's beautiful, right? It's one of those things. Yeah.
All I want.
All I want for Christmas. But for those that are listening on audio, Wario64 tweeted out this shirt like last year. I can't remember what the website was. And it's literally Waluigi in the same outfit and pose and setting as Mariah Carey on her album cover for All I Want for Christmas. And it's him just sitting there looking all, you know, cute, adorable. You might go on a date with him. I don't know. He's looking ready to go to a family Christmas party thing. And next to it is the words and little kind of cursive things. All I want for Christmas is you. And so
it's super good. It's the time of year you got to bring that sort of stuff.
You got to bring it, man. You got to bring it.
You got to bring that heat to these final two episodes.
That's what you got to do. Which is, thank you for bringing that up. We are in the road to the finale of the show. In case you missed the last episode, TRG is unfortunately closing up shop. We are turning off the lights at the end of 2023. We already went into that a lot last episode, so be sure to go check that out. There are timestamps for that, so you can jump right into it if you go check it out. But yeah, this is the not like the last episode, but it's the episode before the finale.
Yeah, penultimate. Isn't that what it's called?
I was trying to think of the word, but I'm like, is it penultimate? What is that word? And maybe you're probably right. It's probably penultimate. So it's
either the next to last or three from the last or second, or whatever. Yeah, something like that.
It's either what you said it was, or it's a summon or combo break thing in Final Fantasy VII is what it is.
There you go.
It's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're going to summon the Knights of the Round.
Yeah.
Some kind of penultimate clash or something like that. But yeah, man, we are closing up shop. But before we do, you know, we've still got a couple episodes to record. We've still got a couple things to go. I feel like there might be a little bit of confusion still based on kind of some of the questions I'm getting from people. And it's just the podcast that's ending. The Discord isn't going anywhere. The Twitter account will obviously go dark. Or I don't know, maybe I'll use it to just kind of keep posting gaming memes from time to time. Who knows? But it's just the podcast. The YouTube channel is going to remain up. I've still got plenty of Trails games to play and ideas for video content that I'll be able to work on. Which shout out to those of you watching over on YouTube. We just hit 2,000 subscribers today.
Yeah,
on YouTube. That's pretty gnarly. I'm not gonna lie.
Very cool.
You weebs really love that Trails content, don't you?
Yeah, they do.
I'm just kidding. I do too. That's why I keep playing it, man. So I'll get to that and what I've been playing because I'm at the end of Cold Steel 4. What I presume to be the end. You never know with these games.
Sure enough, yeah.
They might throw another chapter at me and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so with that being said, you know, everything's still going to be going. You can still come into the Discord, hang out, come over to the YouTube for the streams, do all that, which reminds me, since I've hit 2,000 subscribers, I think I'm just going to go ahead and announce it here as well. I'll do a 12-hour stream for when I first play Trails into Reverie later on during Christmas break. So
excellent.
Be looking out for that.
All right.
I'm probably going to regret that decision later because I'm like, man, 12 hours is a long time, but who knows? It might fly by because I'm just enjoying the game so much.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know. But yeah. Well, with that being said, let's get into the show proper, like we always do, with a little bit of what we're playing. And Micah, man, some let's kick it off with some TRG Kids, man. What are your kids getting into?
Oh yeah, we got a couple of new games, I think, this episode. The eldest is finally branching out past Minecraft, so we have something else
Mm,
that she's playing. But first off, my son and I have booted up Overcooked, the all you can eat
nice.
edition, which has Overcooked 1 and 2 and all the
Okay.
DLC tossed into one package. And oh boy, he is a natural at this game, and we are crushing, absolutely crushing these kitchens. 3 stars,
Wow.
no problem, on virtually
Wow.
every kitchen. This is we found our co-op game, man. I've watched him play like platformers and stuff, and
Mhm.
he's got gaming skill. He's gonna earn some gaming cred as his life goes on. But I wasn't expecting this. This is like it's like the video game partner that I've always like wished for, but I've never lived with or whatever. I mean, I have had some good roommates that were good gamers, but like I was like,
But
whoa,
none quite as
is
good as your own
he's
kid.
like as good as me, if not better. Like this is excellent. So yeah, we already beat Overcooked 1, and we're playing Overcooked 2 right now because we could
Nice.
just plow through it so fast. So
That's
we're having
awesome.
a blast playing that. Of course, I think you know kind of the premise of Overcooked. You know, you
Oh yeah.
gotta it's like a haphazard way to put together salads and soups and
Oh
sushi
yeah.
and get it out to the kitchen, out to the dining room really quickly.
It's kind of like
Um,
working in an actual kitchen. Sometimes it's very
yeah,
stressful.
it can definitely break some relationships, some marriages, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. If you're not careful, if you
Yep.
dabble into it unfamiliarly, but anyway, unfamiliar is that even a word? What in the
Words are
world?
hard.
Anyway, okay, so that's Overcooked. We're playing that. The next game, I got Layla, my oldest daughter, to get away from Minecraft to because she loves Breath of the Wild and
Mhm.
Tears of the Kingdom. And I think one thing
Mm.
that she loves about it is just kind of the open world explore. And then she loves the bow and arrow mechanic. She loves a
Yeah.
good bow and arrow in any game. I'm like, you know what? You know, you're getting old enough now. I think you'd probably love Horizon. I
It's
was telling her
time.
about it. She knows about it a little bit, and we
Mhm.
booted it up. And sure enough, dude, she is madly in love with this game.
Yes.
And like we're kind of playing it together, so
Mhm.
it's kind of fun for me to go back and replay this one. Great game still, holds up really well graphically, and yeah, she's having a blast with it. She of course is all about upgrading those weapons and or like getting new weapons and getting new outfits. And she's if you remember, small spoiler for Horizon Zero Dawn, if you remember, there's that really awesome shield weaver armor that you can
Mm.
get in that game, and you
Yes.
see it at the very beginning of the game, and then it
Mhm.
takes a while to get there. She's like all like obsessed with
Yeah.
getting that armor once
It's
she
so
saw
cool.
it. So we're trying to do that and get all the power cells and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're trekking through Horizon Zero Dawn, and it holds up. It's great, and she's having
Right
a
on.
blast with that one. So that's what my kids are playing. As far as me, I won't take too long. Been playing booted back up a similar game, Ghost of Tsushima. Played the PS5 Director's Cut version. I just recorded an episode of the Backlog Breakdown with Nate McKeever, our buddy and patron, and we did a whole episode on Ghost of Tsushima, and that game's awesome. So I sort of just kind of booted that back up, was checking out the PS5 version, getting familiar with it. I never played the Iki Island DLC, so I might kind
Mm.
of continue on and just do
Yeah.
that, and just kind of let this be my replay through of the game before Ghost 2,
Yeah.
whenever that comes out.
I've gotta say,
Um,
seeing you, Nate, and there was someone else either on Twitter or in the Discord that was playing, I'm like, "Man, I gotta get back in there and play the director's cut," 'cause like you, I haven't played the Iki Island stuff, so I need to fix that.
Yeah, and getting back into that game, it's interesting playing both that and Horizon at the same time because they
Mm.
don't have the same button mapping, and it's
No, they don't.
virtually the same style of game. So it's been a little difficult playing Ghost, especially because I've played more Horizon. But that game is also just an all timer. It's one of the PS4's best
Yeah,
games in my opinion.
yeah.
So I'll move on from that one. Lastly, I can talk a lot now about Alan Wake 2.
Mm.
Because I'm nearly done with it. I'd say
Okay.
85% done. I was really hoping to finish it before we recorded tonight, but just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
Um, this game, I was describing it to Nate on the breakdown. This game does a lot of things that are best in class, like art
Hmm.
direction and just kind of the overall plot and writing, and some of the scenarios that you're in, and the way that the saga that the character, the playable character Saga, all her side kind of plays out is very Resident Evil like, which I
Mm.
love. All that stuff is great, but I do have some gripes with it. Primarily, the game gives you the ability to swap freely between playing as Saga and playing as Alan, and there comes to a point where you can just kind of plow through like a whole chunk of the game as one while kind of leaving the other storyline kind of behind. And they need to really kind of, I
Mm.
feel like they need to be in sync
Yeah.
for them to make sense. And I wish the game would just kind of, I wish it was more linear. It was just would
Yeah.
have said, no, now we're doing this. Now we're doing this. And
Like it
stop
would
letting me
it had you play
choose.
as one character for a section, then it jumps to the other one and then keeps doing
Yeah.
that on its own.
The way, like, it's not a problem in tons of games. Like we talked about Spider-Man swap between Miles and Peter, like no
Yeah.
problem there.
Yeah.
This is different with the way the chapters are done and the way the story unfolds and the way you learn information in one side of the story. And then you sort of like it helps interpret the other part of the story that you're doing. And so I don't love that. That makes it feel
Mhm.
disjointed,
Mm.
along with the fact that sometimes you'll play a chapter and it's like takes an hour. Sometimes you'll play a chapter and it's like 10 minutes. And it's like, oh,
Mm.
well, should I stop playing now? Like,
Yeah.
do I need to play more? Or so
Mm.
I kind of had this like herky jerky, like, oh, now I'll play it. Oh, no, now I'll go to bed. Now I
Yeah.
haven't played for a few days. Now I've been playing a saga, and what's going on with Alan again?
Mm. Yeah, that's never
Maybe
good.
maybe it's a first world problem for me with just how I consume the game.
Sure.
But I didn't love that. That
Yeah.
really took me out of it, and it's a game that I should have beaten by now, and I just haven't.
Yeah.
Because every time I go back to it, I'm like, what was even going on?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of right there with Alan Wake right now.
Yeah.
Still great, still one of my favorite games of the year,
Mhm.
but it's been a little bit harder to get into than I thought, and I'm not loving it like I thought I might.
Yeah.
It's still really, really good, and it does some 10 out of 10 things in certain disciplines,
Yeah.
but it's just not quite striking me like I'd hoped, I guess.
Yeah. That's something I've noticed with the game, and you'll notice even looking at the doc. Listeners won't see this because they haven't seen the doc. But I mean, I don't have Alan Wake 2 on mine because I just simply haven't played it, and I'm at a point now where I haven't played it in I think 2 weeks or so, a couple weeks now, and I'm just worried like that I'm not gonna remember what I was even doing if I jump back into it, and I'm gonna be confused, and I might just have to start over with
Well,
Alan Wake 2.
there's a couple of sections too, and maybe you would be helped by just starting over,
Hmm.
because there's sometimes like I've gotten in, and there was one time in particular I came back from a sitting. I'm like, I have no idea what to do. I was straight lost, and
Mm.
I was
Yeah.
trying to find what the objective was, because there's a certain, I'm not going to ruin it, but there's a certain game mechanic that you do as Alan that can be pretty confusing to
Hmm.
figure out how to just progress, I guess, and
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah.
And sometimes that isn't as smooth as I think the game thinks that it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sounding negative. I do really like this game a lot.
Right.
But I guess I'm just surprised at some of these problems that I'm finding are not what I was gonna. It's not what I was expecting was going to be kind of the
Sure.
downfalls for this game.
Yeah. 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 Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll probably encounter. I'm probably going to start over with Alan Wake 2. To be honest, like once I get into Christmas break, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take a day. I'm just going to sit down, play it for a good chunk of time, not play it like broken up across a week, and then kind of give it some of that attention.
Yeah,
That's just something I've noticed here lately. Like when it comes to watching a show or movie or reading a book, for me, it's like if I can just devote several hours to this one thing, so I don't have to break it up over a week, I can track with it. I can remember everything better. But if I had to split my time up across like over a week, I'm gonna forget several things, and then I'm like, okay, let me go back and reread this section. Let me
Hundred
go back and watch
percent.
this episode again.
And
Maybe that's just a
real
sign I'm getting
quick,
old and my memory's not good. I don't know, but
yeah, no, I'm right
but
there with
yeah.
you. Real quick, just kind of note. I guess we won't really ever get there as far as like having the podcast and me kind of getting into it. But I got me a Xbox Series X coming in the mail,
Oh yeah, I
and
forgot
I'm
you
gonna
texted me that. Yeah.
I'm gonna bust it out for Christmas. But I'm already thinking about when am I going to play Starfield?
Mm,
Like when is the
yeah.
chunk of time that I want to set aside to only play that game more or less?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like I'm going to need that, or else because if I stop that game for a week or so, it's going to be I feel like I'm going to get pulled in by like a power washing simulator or something like that.
Dude, hey, that's free to play with PS Plus now, man.
I
Shout
just
out.
started it up like an hour ago and played like 30 minutes. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is
buddy.
good.
It's oddly satisfying. It is what it is.
So yeah, to that point though, I'm thinking like, all right, Starfield's huge. I do want to get through it and get the main, get the golden path at least.
Hmm.
So like when can I set aside like a month, maybe not that it takes a month to go through the golden path, but just like a good chunk
Sure.
of time to play Starfield. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, man. No, man, that's good. That's good stuff, man. Well, shout out to you, man. I'm glad you finally got your hands on an Xbox Series X, and man, you're gonna.
Yes,
I think you're gonna. I really think you're gonna enjoy it. I think you're gonna have some fun with it.
I feel bad that I'm not going to be able to report on it on the show because
Yeah.
everyone thinks I'm a huge Sony pony, which I am. Um, lol.
Nothing wrong with being self-aware.
But no, I mean, like I love Xbox, when they're good, but they just haven't been good lately. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
what can you do?
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe Starfield and Forza will change your tune just a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, we'll see.
Key phrase, just a little bit, not
Yeah,
a lot. But yeah, as far as what I've been playing, I haven't really been playing a whole lot. I was going to come on here and talk about Marvel Snap, but I was like, nah, I don't want to. I think I might finally be done with the game,
oh,
just because monetization stuff is getting a little worse, and they nerfed a bunch of cards here recently, and I'm like, you guys didn't need to nerf some of these cards this bad. It's like, all right, I think
that
I played it for over a year. I've got a good amount of time with it. I think it's time to kind of move on and
okay.
go focus on some other games. And one of those other games is, I finished Super Mario Wonder and thought I'd be done with it. And then I found the secret levels and was like, oh my gosh, this was the challenge I was looking for. The stuff where I might break the stick because I'm moving so fast and doing things, but
Yeah,
like, whoa, man, let me tell you, if you are playing Super Mario Wonder and you're looking for that extra little bit of challenge, check out the secret levels.
dude. I
They're
saw one of
hard.
your clips that you posted, and you
Yeah.
you crushed it. You know what it reminded me of? No joke.
Huh.
It reminded me of Celeste. and
Ah,
how and
yeah.
how perfect you have to be in some of
Yeah.
those later levels or the B sides or the C
Yeah.
sides.
Yep.
That's what it reminded me of, to be perfectly honest. But anyway,
That's
you were
perfect. Yeah.
crushing that section. I was watching it,
Well,
I'm like, dude, what?
you saw it after the like 50 or so attempts prior to get to that, so But yeah, it's genuinely fun. I'm like, dude, this is like normally when I uh, mess up on those things, I'll get mad and be like, I'm not going to play this. Every single time I mess up on that one particular one that you may have seen on Twitter, I'm like, you know what? I saw what I did wrong there. I get it. I kind of messed up with the timing on that. Totally understand it. And man, it's challenging, but it never really frustrated me. I was like, man, this is really fun. I think it won't be for everybody, but man, if you're looking for that extra challenge, definitely go for the
that
secret levels in
that
Super Mario
sounds
Wonder.
so good.
Yeah.
I had that game coming in the mail as well for
Heck yeah, dude.
Christmas. So yeah, I'll be playing that. I
It's a
won't
good
be able to
time.
report on any of these, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can't wait to dive into that and seeing those secret levels. Ooh,
Hmm.
that looks
Yeah,
so
man.
good.
It's a good time. I wasn't gonna say I wasn't gonna go get 100% in this game, but honestly, I think I might. I won't do it anytime soon. I'm probably gonna stretch it out over a couple months, just play it here and there. But man, Super Mario Wonder is freaking good. Like,
So I remember I said something. It was an episode or two ago, and I was running through the 2023 games that we thought might get nominated for Game of the Year, and I
yeah,
said Super Mario Wonder, and you said medium. on like a high,
Mhm.
medium, low thing. And I
Mhm.
said, really
Mhm.
medium, because I
Yep.
thought it was a high. So now
Yeah.
that you've played it and you kind of have fallen in love with it, what do you think its chances are of winning Game of the Year?
I'd say high. Like the more that I play Super Mario Wonder and genuinely go for 100% and collecting everything, I'm like, this game is just immaculate. Dare I say it is? It's a masterpiece. I haven't had this much fun playing a 2D Mario game in a long time. And I say this as someone who's not a big Mario fan. I'm not. I'm genuinely not a big Mario fan. But this game, I'm like, this is 10 out of 10. This is
It, it,
incredible.
it is to 2D Mario what Tears of the Kingdom is to 3D Zelda. Is
Yep.
that fair?
Yep. Yep. And it's just crazy how, in the year of our Lord 2023, we got Tears of the Kingdom, we got Super Mario Wonder, we got Super Mario RPG, and just countless other just games. It's a great time to be a gamer, man. It's a great time to be a gamer. But yeah, Super Mario Wonder, shout out to that game. Awesome. Awesome
Quick note
stuff.
before you move into your next game.
Mhm.
We always talk about the games of 2023. I was looking at 2024 just for fantasy critic reasons, and man,
Mhm.
dude, it's got like nothing.
It's barren. Yeah.
It's
Well,
such a stark
when
contrast.
when you release everything in 2023, it's like what really do you have left for the following year? And
I mean, I'm
it's not
joking a
much.
little bit, but for like comparatively, it's like okay, yeah, we're back to
Mm.
normal again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if I may, I don't have it in the doc because I can't really talk a whole lot about it, but I do want to point out, or at least bring up, I did
Hmm?
play in the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League alpha test thing that's super secret. That made me sign an NDA for it,
Super
but
secret.
I'm
I
just,
love this.
I'm gonna try to think of a way to word this in a way that will just, say things without actually saying things. I think that this game is exactly what they made. And I think that this kind of game is going to be really interesting when it releases.
I mean,
I
I'm
think,
not under NDA. I'm not under NDA,
no,
Logan.
you're not. You're not.
I'll just say a word that, or a couple words that might not even, it doesn't really matter. You can just nod your head or just something, Warner Brothers interference.
Hmm. That's an interesting
Is
phrase.
is that an interesting phrase?
That's a very interesting phrase.
Okay, all
I don't know
right.
what it means, but it's evocative.
I know. I mean, Warner Brothers is their publisher.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not under
Listen,
NDA.
I will say this though. Out of all the characters you can play as in the Suicide Squad, King Shark is my dude. King Shark is my dude.
Of course.
I just, I mean, what do you expect? I like the big Hulk tank dudes that just run and clobber things. It's a good time. And he's a giant shark. I like sharks a lot, so it's a good time.
The marketing campaign for Suicide Squad has kicked up. I got like a
Dude,
notification from
yeah,
PlayStation saying like, "Hey, you want to pre-order this?" I'm like,
I
"No,
got
I
that
don't.
today too.
I don't want to." But
I'm just
is that
like,
come out in February? I think that got a February date, maybe.
February, I think. Yeah, that sounds about right. February 2nd, I want to say. I'm probably wrong, but
Maybe that's one of the other games I was thinking of to make
yeah.
February crowded. But I
It's just
digress.
it is kind of nuts at how that game is really ramping up its marketing and they're really pushing the story aspect. And it's like, okay, guys, we may be gamers, we may be dumb at times, but we also haven't forgotten how this year's went for that
Hmm.
game, and we're gonna remember it going into
Oh,
next
I
year. It's not.
remember that state of play. I
I'm
remember
just
that
saying
state of play.
it's not a threat or anything. I'm just saying I think a lot of people have paid attention to this game. I think a lot of people are going to remember a lot of the stuff surrounding this game. So when it comes out, it's going to be interesting. Who knows? It might be another Gotham Knights situation where it's a box of chicken nuggets that a surprising amount of people really enjoy. So
Yeah.
you never know. You never know. But speaking of things that people enjoy, I've been on a journey through the Trails of series for the last almost 2 years now, and I'm finally at the end of Trails of Cold Steel 4. I'm hoping that by the time this episode releases to public feeds, I will have finished the game, but you never know with these games. You play your JRPG, you think you're at the end, you get to it, and then it's surprise, there's no credits. It's actually a whole other section of the game. It's like, okay, great, we're gonna be here another 20 hours. Fantastic. Um, I will just say this about Trails of Cold Steel 4. What a game! What a game! People
Better
have
than
told
3?
I I was thinking about it last night when I was streaming. By the way, if anybody wants to see the end of the journey and they've played the game and they don't care about spoilers, I'm streaming this on YouTube pretty regularly, especially since we're at the end. But the more I play this, the more I'm like, man, this is really kind of battling it out between Cold Steel 3 and 4 for me. Because right now, if I were to rank the series games or just this saga, or not saga, but this arc, it would be Cold Steel 3 at number 1, then 4, then 2, then 1. I think 1 is easily the weakest out of the 4 games.
Okay.
But man, 4 is just, I mean, and it's kind of unfair because in 4 they have a lot of payoff from the previous games in this arc, but also from the previous games in the other 2 arcs that's coming to fruition here. So it kind of like gets a lot of the spotlight and the glory because everything's like kind of paying off here. But man, it's good, great, amazing. It just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing.
Would you call it like, is the story like great / convoluted in a Metal Gear way, or is it not really convoluted? It's just great.
So it's convoluted if you start with Cold Steel. If
Okay.
you've been playing since the Sky games, you're probably tracking with a lot of these things that keep coming up because you're like, yeah, I remember this from 3, I remember this from 2, I remember this. Oh, this was in Azure. This was okay. Yeah, now I'm tracking with all this. I think if you start with Cold Steel, you're definitely going to be lost. That being said, Cold Steel was the one that a lot of people started or got into the series with, and they went back and played the old games, and so that's kind of how it
Sure.
rolls. Um, but it definitely does get convoluted, and there's things where, thankfully, because I have people in chat kind of connecting the dots for me or reminding me of certain things from previous games,
Yeah.
I'm starting to kind of like really tune into some of the things that are going on. But I don't think it's going to be to the point where it's like Kingdom Hearts or even Metal Gear where people are going to be confused. It'll just be like, okay, I feel like this is important. What is this thing? And sometimes you can pull up a book that's in the game and read it like, oh, okay, so this ties to this here. Or you talk to an NPC, it's like, oh, this connects here. So if you really just
Gotcha.
kind of play the game and talk to characters and just do your JRPG thing, I think you'll be okay. But
Okay.
yeah, it's definitely one of those games where like, yeah, you cannot just jump in at any random point. Like it's like a book series. They're building on a lot of things that they've set up in prior games, and so man, it's pretty wild. I will say this though, the Act 2 in Cold Steel 4, freaking slog. I did not care for that at all.
Okay.
Everything else around it though, great, love it,
All right.
good stuff, good stuff. But
Fair
yeah,
warning.
fair warning for those who care. Nah, people listening aren't weebs. They don't care about who I picked for my waifu. But it was Emma, by the way. Emma's great. Emma's the best, and she's got her witch magic, and
She sounds like a lovely lady.
she really is. She's a great fit for Reen. Actually, no. What's funny is Can I spoil this? I don't know. I'll just say, look, there's an option where you don't have to pick a waifu, and honestly, it's the best choice out of everything. It
I thought you were
really
about to
is.
go rogue for a second, like, oh, the
No, no,
podcast is ending. I'll just start spoiling
no.
the crap out of
Mm-mm.
stuff left and right.
No, I'm just gonna say they do give you an option to not pick anybody, and personally, I think it's the best option out of all of them that you can get.
Okay.
It's both hilarious and endearing. That's all I'm gonna say. That's
All
all I'm
right
gonna
then.
say. But yeah,
Good deal.
Trails of Cold Steel 4. Hopefully, gonna finish that game soon, but we'll see. It's one of those things. But yeah, definitely come on out to the YouTube channel if you've played the game already or you don't care about spoilers. Come on out, hang out, and we'll have a good time. But speaking of things, we're gonna have a good time with Micah, my guy, dude. Yeah, let's get into the news because this first one you've got, man. We've been waiting for it 10
This
years, my guy, and it's finally here.
Yeah, this is one of the better roundups of news I would say that we've had recently. We got some good stuff, we got some weird stuff.
Definitely got some weird stuff.
So there's this wee little tiny game series called Grand Theft Auto.
People
And of
probably never
course,
heard of it.
I mean, not really. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, dear listener. The new trailer for the first trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6, the new entry in the highest selling video game of all time in Grand Theft Auto 5. I think it sold over 190 million copies. And if you don't, just to, if listeners don't understand how many copies that is, like the best selling like home console of all time has sold like 140 million or
Mhm.
130 million or something like that,
Something
or
like
maybe
that,
it's
yeah.
150 for PS2. I can't remember. Anyway, 190 million for one game.
Mhm.
Um,
That exists on 3 generations of consoles. It started on the
yeah,
360, and
this
now here
game
it is
came out on the
on
sinking 360, PS3, all that stuff, the
wild.
Cell processor. So we finally got the first teaser trailer for it. It's about 90 seconds, about a minute and a half.
Mhm.
It is a not necessarily like not super suitable for work kind of thing, but you know what you're
Yeah,
getting into if you're watching
yeah.
Grand Theft Auto. So, Logan, first impressions of
Dude,
this trailer.
let me just say, so we've heard leaks and rumors and fake rumors about this game for just literally years. I think Dunkey put a video out. Actually, I think I had it as a reco a couple episodes ago, just going kind of cataloging the last 10 years of rumors for this game. And we finally got it. It leaked actually, and then Rockstar was like, you know what? It leaked. Let's
Yeah,
just here it is. Please watch it on our YouTube channel. I was like, sure, yeah, I'll
yeah,
do
the
that.
night before. Yeah.
And and man, some of the really, and when the screenshots leaked earlier this year or last year, I didn't look at it. I was like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to know anything. Just let me wait until they actually reveal it. We did hear that the main character was going to be a Hispanic female, and we saw her in the trailer. Lucina, I think is what her name is. I tried to pull it up here. Let me see. Lucia. And dude, I gotta say, she looks tough. She looks cool. And man, I can't wait to play. I think there's gonna be two protagonists in this game. She's one of them. I can't remember the other character's name, but man, I
Hmm.
gotta say, and I've said this before. Grand Theft Auto Vice City was a game that I played a lot of in high school and even a little bit in college, and is my personal favorite. I don't agree with everything in the game. There's some content in there I'm like, it's a bit too much, but that's the one I played a lot of, and it was cool to see Vice City and just really high res stuff. Obviously, seeing more of the stuff, I'm like, I'm not cool with that. Not cool with that. Not cool with that. The cars look great. The lighting's insane. That kind of stuff. So I'm interested to see kind of what they do with Vice City, how big it is, and really get in there. And I'm real curious because social media was at the forefront of this teaser trailer. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what kind of role is that going to play in the game? Because if you've played Grand Theft Auto, you know they do a lot of social commentary stuff in their games. And so I'm real curious to see kind of how that works into it and see what they have to say about social media, its effect on culture, but even its effect on the game as you use it. But man, I mean it looks cool. I'm gonna be honest though, it didn't really get me all that hyped. I'm like, okay, there's Lucia, cool, let's play as her. That's gonna be great. Vice City's looking fresh, looks up to date. It definitely looks different than the 70s, I think is when Vice City took place. Um, but I'm just kind of like, it didn't really get me hyped, but I'm like, it's cool. It's here. 2025 is a long wait, but I'm like, cool,
Yeah.
let's go.
That was my next comment was the 2025 date. Did that surprise you?
A little bit because I thought it would come next year, but I guess I mean who knows? They might wind up finishing it and be like, actually, we're going to release it early. We're going to drop it at the holiday season
That would be
2024.
something.
But I'm not going to hold up my hopes for that. But yeah, the 2025 date did kind of surprise me a little bit, and I was a little annoyed with that just because it's like, can we release these things a little bit closer to the release date? That way, it's not quite as long of a wait. But
Yeah, there is a bit of a history with Rockstar doing that as far as like having their first trailer then a long time
yeah,
before the actual release. So this is kind of par for the course for them. But yeah, that was the one thing I was going to point out was the 2025, and then I think this was if you thought this was going to launch on PC, that's just never going to happen. Like this is going to be a console only game at first, and because
hmm
they're going to be able to double dip because
yeah,
people that really really want it are going to get it on console anyway and
hmm
PC when it launches on PC. So
yeah,
that'll come at a later date. I don't think they've said. But Xbox Series X and S and PS5 for now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it looks absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely, like the first time you saw Cyberpunk kind of
Yeah.
thing. Cyberpunk
Yes.
2077. It's like, you remember that
Very
first
accurate.
trailer
Yeah.
for Cyberpunk 20? And it's like,
Yeah. It's
holy
like, wait,
crap.
what?
A little bit like that, as far as like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this is what $1 billion budget will get you in video
Yeah.
games now.
Yeah.
um, Content wise, I've not played a Grand Theft Auto seriously ever in my life. I could play a little bit of 3 and Vice City back in the day, but didn't really get into them hugely. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
These are the like same thing with Cyberpunk. It's in the genre of too much for Micah to do,
Sure.
and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna even start. So probably won't play this game, though. I'm
Mm-hmm.
fascinated with following kind of how it does and just
Mm-hmm.
everything else. It's a huge industry game that you can't be ignored. And speaking of, in less than 24 hours, it broke 100 million views on YouTube. Just the official Rockstar account, not counting like IGN's trailer and all the
Mm-hmm.
other
Yeah.
YouTube accounts that are out there, and which is the fastest watched trailer of anything of
Yeah.
all time.
Yeah.
Like any movie, anything
Yep.
for a trailer.
I just, again, it cannot be overstated at how big of a cultural impact GTA has. I know there's some people listening that are, Christians, and like, why are we talking about this and all this stuff? Why is Logan wanting to play it? You guys, I'm telling you, you cannot overestimate the impact this game has on our culture and the amount of people that are going to play the crap out of this game when it releases. Again, I'm jumping the gun a little bit early on one of our write-ins, but one of our write-ins asked, is from John Hannon. He goes, "Are there any upcoming games or events that you'll be sad to not cover once the podcast has ended?" This one right here, because I think this would be a really interesting one to cover, and that's why I'm going to be a little sad that we're not going to cover it. But
yeah,
I mean, it's going to be interesting.
yeah, absolutely earth-shattering sort of stuff. Just like the announcement that Rockstar made on Twitter is like, hey, we're gonna have the trailer, next
Yep.
week. That was like the most liked video game
Mm-hmm.
post of all time, like super
Yep.
fast. It's nuts. The
Yep.
eyes that get glued to this property when they're ready to show,
Absolutely.
and it looked
Yeah.
good.
And I'll just
So
say
yeah,
this, my old youth pastor self's coming in. Parents, youth pastors, keep an eye on this and don't just shy away from it. Dig in a little bit, figure out what people like about the game, find out what's going to be in the game. Don't be misinformed and have those conversations. Don't be like badgering people, like, you play this, you're going to hell. Blah. Don't do any of that. Just keep an eye on this, be aware of it, have conversations with your teenagers, and go from there.
and it'll obviously have an online opponent that will be
Yep.
enormous in the
Oh, dude.
decade ahead.
Yeah.
So, like a parent who's listening to this podcast right now who has a 1-year-old, your kid might be playing this when he's like 13, 14, 15,
Yeah.
whether you let him or not, he might just be doing it.
Yeah.
So, just yeah, plug in, be aware,
Yeah.
be yeah.
Be informed. That's
Okay,
it.
yeah, be an informed parent. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is a juicy Logan. This one
Dude.
just dropped in our lap. This
My goodness.
I was about to say this morning. It was today, as of this recording. Okay, so a little bit of background. There's been some shakeups over at Bungie, the famed developer of Halo and of course Destiny. They semi-recently were acquired by Sony, but were kept independent, and they've been doing their thing, and they've been consulting on Sony games apparently, and saying, the Last of Us multiplayer game isn't sticky enough, and all this kind of stuff, and um, they've hit some hard times. They didn't hit some financial results that they needed to. Didn't hit
Hmm.
some benchmarks, and they had a round of layoffs about a month or so ago. About 100+ people, I think. And so today, IGN is reporting. I think it's Rebecca Valentine over there is the person behind this article. So shout out to her and her reporting. Did a great job here. What she's saying is the headline here is Bungie devs say atmosphere is, quote, soul crushing amid layoffs, cuts, and fear of total Sony takeover. So let me, if you can bear with me real quick, listener, let me read a snippet from this article that Rebecca Valentine wrote over IGN. I'm quoting her. As it currently stands, Bungie is on paper a fully independent subsidiary of Sony, but its board of directors has been divided since the takeover in July of 2022. Among its current members are PlayStation Studios head Herman Holtz, Sony Senior VP Eric Lempel, Bungie co founder Jason Jones, Bungie CTO Luis Villegas, and Bungie CEO Pete Parsons. That's 5 people. That's me interjecting real quick. 5 people, with 3 of them being Bungie. IGN goes on. The board as a whole is split between Sony and Bungie representatives, with Parsons serving as a tiebreaker vote. But speaking to IGN under condition of anonymity, multiple current and former Bungie employees described a department meeting that took place shortly after the layoffs in which leaders hinted that this shared power may not last forever. The article goes on. While the exact details of Sony's deal to acquire Bungie remain unknown to the public or employees, sources say they were told by leaders that the current split board structure is contingent on Bungie meeting certain financial goals. If Bungie falls short of certain financial goals by too great an amount, Sony is allowed to dissolve the existing board and take full control of the company. It was with this threat looming that Bungie leadership, not Sony, according to Parsons, made the choice to lay off roughly 100 employees last month. All right, I'm going to
Dude,
stop there.
dude.
Okay, I've got some bullet points in the show notes. If you want to take any of those, feel free,
Yeah.
Logan. But how do you want to attack this story? What in the world?
I mean, I want to first. I mean, you already did that when you let off, but I want to again shout out to Rebecca over there at IGN. I read this whole article. I don't normally do that. I read this
Really,
whole
really
thing.
good.
So fascinating. Just really well done. Great work over there, man. This is so surprising, and I don't. And again, I don't follow the video game industry quite as closely as you or others might. So I don't know if we were aware of the fact that Sony could just take over Bungie if they didn't meet certain metrics. But
That's the
really,
news.
that surprised me, man. And it might happen, which is weird to think because in the article mentions this that Bungie is usually known for their autonomy or individuality, and man, they might get taken up here, and they might become a full fledged Sony first party studio. And it's kind of scary because from my understanding, I haven't played Destiny 2 in several months, but from my understanding, the Destiny 2 community is not too happy with at least the previous season and some of the weird changes with it was PvP. They released some DLC that was poorly priced and didn't have the content that really it should have, and just been weird changes and things like that. And man, it's been kind of dire over there. And you add in the layoffs and the delay of what is the final shape. I mean, uh, things are not looking good at
Yeah.
Bungie, man.
One thing that I believe, I can't remember if it was like revenue not hit or what the exact metric was, but they missed their mark by like 40 something percent this last
Mm,
quarter or this last fiscal year, which is
hmm
for an independent studio like I almost said Sony, like Bungie. That's a massive miss. And
hmm
I think if Sony didn't own them, they would have had that would have hit them hard, like really
Yeah,
hard. Like they would have had a round of layoffs anyway. So I think what we're seeing, whether they're independent or whether they're under Sony, is we're seeing like the slow crumbling of what Bungie once was and what it represented, which is
yeah,
super sad. It's
yeah.
almost like, BioWare without the doctors being there, without, the original,
hmm
um, KOTOR and Mass Effect and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what they're going to be going forward. I
Yeah,
don't know how Marathon is going to fare. I don't
yeah,
know if Bungie's going to do whatever it takes to not be taken over by Sony completely. Like
yeah,
they're just going to keep cutting people and keep making morale really low and cutting costs on there's a bunch of stuff in the IGN article about how they're cutting costs, and it's just ruining morale at the
yeah.
studio. The staff is fearing that if the final, well, I'm going to say DLC, whatever you call it, the final shape, like the
Yeah.
last piece, like this is the last kind of thing about Destiny. If that's not a hit, like there's fears that there's going to be more layoffs.
Yeah.
So just an awful kind of like, again, if Sony had not swept in, come in and gotten them a couple of years ago, I think we might still be in this spot where
Yeah.
we were just seeing them dissolve. So I don't know if it's like, oh, Sony, you're over there ruining them. I think maybe they're, if anything, giving them a life raft.
Yeah.
And they might just mold into something different than what we're
Hmm.
used to them being.
Yeah.
Which is, like I just said, sad and unfortunate. So
Yeah.
yeah, any other thoughts here?
No, man, it was a wild read and kind of a heartbreaking read too. Just, I mean, just reading about what it's like being there currently. Just, I mean, there's no other word for it. It sounds completely miserable, and it's got to be
Yeah.
tough, man. So,
Yeah.
we,
Well, yeah. Thoughts and prayers, of course, out to the
yeah,
staff. Anyone affected by layoffs. Anytime that happens to these sort of companies, it sucks. But of course, being such a story developer, we hope that they keep what that DNA that makes Bungie who they are, going forward. So we'll see if that happens. But
yeah,
we're hoping, obviously.
we'll see.
Moving on to our next news story, we're gonna pick it back up and get in the happy column again. We got another trailer dropped. We had the GTA 6 trailer. We also got a brand new trailer for the I guess, is it Prime Video? I almost said Amazon Prime. That's not what it's
Yeah,
called.
I
It's just
think that's
Prime
right.
Video
Yeah.
TV series for Fallout, the post-apocalyptic, Bethesda owned property, and that they're doing this TV show, and the trailer dropped for this thing,
Hmm.
and um, man, looks great, dude.
Okay, I was like,
What you think of
I
this?
was nervous because I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, "Yo, this looks good." I mean,
Yeah,
just seeing the like people walking in the suits, the Brotherhood of Steel, or I don't know if that's them, but just
yeah,
seeing that, I was
that's
like, dude,
them.
the power suit, they nailed it. It looks great. Some of the shots, like you have that shot where the camera's like inside of a old ruined house and like a rad roach climbs in through the window. I'm like, oh, dude, that's gross, and that's a rad roach. You love it. I
Yeah,
mean, I have a soft
yeah.
spot for Fallout, man. I really do. I really enjoyed Fallout 4. I know some people don't really care for it, um, especially the settlement system and trying to get everybody 100% happy, which is a painstaking process. But I did it. Um, man, I've always enjoyed Fallout games, man. They're just I don't know what it exactly is about Fallout. Maybe it's just because it's post-apocalyptic and there aren't a whole lot of people, and that just rocks with my introverted nature. But there's just something about Fallout that's just really cool, man. I'm glad it looks really interesting. It looks fascinating. Some of the humor in there I thought landed really well with some of the
It
jokes in
looks like
there.
they're nailing the look and feel of Fallout. It like 100%.
Yeah, dude.
And um, I don't know if you're familiar with Walton Goggins, the actor who's the Ghoul, and he's in
Mm-mm.
like Justified. He's in a
Okay.
bunch of stuff. You probably know who he's like. Oh, what's his name? I can't. I'm blanking right now on his character's name in Justified. He's like the bad guy in that. Um,
Oh yeah. Okay, I know who you're talking about now because I watched Justified.
He's in a bunch of different things too. Anyway, he's the ghoul, like the main ghoul in the trailer in this show. So yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it just to see his performance. And like I said, just everything about it is like, yeah, they're nailing the look and feel and the costumes. And I love that they plastered Todd Howard's name on the trailer, like real
Yeah,
big font. That was cool to see. So yeah, this is very promising, man. We're just in
dude.
this renaissance of like great video game adaptations.
Mhm.
For the most part, you got your Halos and your
Sure.
Twisted Metals that are
Sure,
just
sure.
okay, but for the most part, we're getting some good stuff.
Dude.
And Fallout seems to be another one. It comes out April 12th next
Okay.
year.
Dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know Walter Goggins was in it, but you tell me that just now, I'm like, dude, he was awesome in
Yeah.
Justified. Really
Love
just
that actor.
really good villain. You didn't know how to feel about him half the time. Like, is he being serious? I don't know. But knowing he's gonna be in it, I'm way more interested now. I mean, I was already interested to
Mhm.
begin with, but like it's kinda like that line from was it Django Unchained where Leonardo DiCaprio, he's like, you you had my he's like, you had my attention, but now you have my interest. You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Man,
Absolutely.
good stuff.
Okay. Man, I'm scrubbing back through the trailer. Just that logo at the end. That's the man. Just thinking.
Yep.
That's good stuff. Okay, let's move on to our final news topic of the episode, and I really just wanted to indulge you and me, Logan, since we're
Let's do it.
such huge Resident Evil fans.
Mm,
This is IGN is where I grabbed this piece, but you can see this pretty much anywhere. This kind of just made the rounds. One of the producers or directors of Resident Evil 4 was talking, and basically like, yeah, we're gonna make more Resident Evil remakes, and that was more or less like that's the news bit. And so there's been a lot of speculation about, like, well, which one is it going to be, because we're at a pretty unique impasse in the series right now as far as the remakes go, because you could go one of many different
hmm.
directions. You
Yeah.
could obviously just move right on to Resident Evil 5. We just got done with 4, so why not go to
Mhm.
5? That's one option. The other option that a lot of fans are hoping for is Code Veronica. Go back to that
Yes.
one, or Resident Evil Zero, which are both kind of sidestep stories.
Hmm.
But I think in the case of Code Veronica, to me, Code Veronica is Resident Evil 3, story
Hmm.
wise, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
That's more 3 than Resident Evil 3 was. Like, that's the follow up. Code
Hmm.
Veronica is the follow up to Resident Evil 2,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I want. Obviously, they could go back to even the original Resident Evil. I know it got the remake on the GameCube, which what
Hmm.
kind of kickstarted all this, but that's forever ago now. That's
Yeah.
ancient.
Yeah.
So why not just remake the OG?
Dude.
Logan, let me ask you two things. Which one do you think will happen, and which one do
Mhm.
you want to happen?
Honestly, and this is gonna be disappointing. I think Resident Evil 5 is gonna be the next one remade.
Oof. No.
I hope not, but I think I don't know, man. I just what I want and what I think will be happening are two very different things. The one I want them to remake is Code Veronica 100%. I think that one should have came before Resident Evil 4. Granted, Resident Evil 4
Agreed.
was great, but I think Code Veronica should have came first.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they're going to move on to 5. And who knows, 5 was where it really started to kind of branch off and get. I mean, Resident Evil has always been a little campy and kind of goofy. You don't take it too seriously. But 5 was where it really started to branch off and get it like, okay, this is an interesting take. Okay, Chris
Yeah.
is punching a boulder.
A bolt.
Okay, great, great. That's what I wanted in a Resident Evil game was Chris Redfield punching the crap out of a boulder. Um, but who knows? I've always thought for the longest time that maybe what they want to do with these remakes is get to 5 and start changing the story, start changing how that game unfolded, and just really
Ooh.
remaking it in the truest sense to where they change things completely. So when they go to 6, they can make it more in line with Resident Evil 7 and just completely erase 6 from
Hey, now
history and redo it completely. So,
I hadn't really thought about that, about like,
yeah,
well, what if, because I keep thinking like, don't do 5, don't do 5. But like,
yeah.
if they did it, which I agree, I think that is probably what they will do. So
Mhm.
if they did do it, what would be the smart way to remake it? And yeah, you're barking up the right tree, Logan. Like, I would
Yeah,
go as far
same.
as to say, remove the co-op element. Like, just
Yeah.
don't have that. Like, you can have
It
two playable characters, but
and you never know. Like it might have. You could still have the two playthrough thing, but let's just say they take Code Veronica, they take 5, combine them into one game where we keep Code Veronica and you play as Claire and you go through that, and then 5 you play as Chris, but it unfolds differently and they rewrite that. So when they go into 6,
mm,
it bleeds into 7 because then you have Chris who's working with what is it, a Blue Umbrella, I think is what it is. And you get to see how that whole thing happens, and then it goes into 7 naturally. So that's
hmm,
something I've been thinking about for the longest time. I'm like, man, what are they trying to do with these remakes? And I really think they're trying to fix what 6 royally screwed up and create a new Resident Evil timeline where you have these remakes, it flows into 7 seamlessly, so it all is cohesive. And I don't know,
yeah.
man. We'll wait and see. But that would blow my mind if they do something like that. I think that'd be really cool.
Dude, do you remember the Crimson Head zombies in the GameCube remake?
Dude, I hated those things.
Dude,
Like,
Thinking
there's
about that sort of stuff is like that's why I want them to go back to the OG. Like
yeah,
it's been obviously it has the remake and it's been like re-released in a bunch of different.
yeah.
I love that game so much.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I wasn't even thinking about Zero in the original until I read it here in the notes. I'm like, oh, dude, that would be so cool if they remade Zero in the original, just to give it that
I
Resident
never
Evil 2
finished
remake treatment.
Zero. I did about half of
Really,
Zero. Never finished it.
bro,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
hard to go back to now. I played it either earlier this year or late last year. I'm like, oh man, this is hard to go back to. But I remember playing it on the GameCube and thoroughly loving it. I really did,
yeah.
man.
I don't know why I stopped back in the day. But
Yeah,
anyway, um,
dude,
yeah.
awesome
Okay.
series. I love that
Uh,
series.
we'll obviously be consuming anything that Capcom puts out as far as Resident Evil, as
Yeah,
long as it's not like a Netflix series or
yeah.
like
Please
a
don't.
light gun shooter. I think we'll be
No,
on board.
no more of those, please. No more of those. Oh my gosh, dude. I can't. Yeah, we just maybe another movie. I could maybe handle another one of those, but not this. Anyway, with that being said, let's get into some of our write-ins from Patreon. As always, you can write into the show over on patreon.com for one more episode. So maybe don't go, don't subscribe to Patreon just to write in. We'll open that up to the public when we get to it. But let's round out the show with some of our write-ins. And the first one comes from Kokoro Daki about Silksong. He writes in and says, do you guys think Silksong will actually release in 2024 or will it be delayed? Are there any other releases you're looking forward to that you worry may be delayed? Dude, Silksong has to come out in 2024, right?
I think so. Yeah. If it, I was thinking about his question because I took a peek at the show notes earlier, and then around lunchtime I was thinking about it, and I was like, what if it slips to 2025? I was
Mm,
like let me. I was like playing that scenario out in my head. I'm like, if that
mm,
happens, like I'm officially like really worried.
yeah,
Um,
that would be too.
I guess I don't. It it's so hard with Team Cherry, the developer behind Silksong, and of course, for those uninitiated, we're talking about the sequel to Hollow Knight
Yeah.
Silksong.
Hmm.
Um, because they've only done the one game, but it was so perfect. It's
Hmm.
like, do they have it
Gosh,
again? Are they having
the
some sort
game.
of like writer's block, if you will,
Yeah.
or is the game? It does it have like scope creep, where like the game just keeps getting bigger and bigger
Yeah.
and bigger, and they don't know when to stop?
Because
Like,
that's what
what's
happened
the
with Silksong. It was supposed to
problem?
just be a DLC thing originally and just kept getting bigger and bigger. Now it's like it's its own
Exactly.
game.
So maybe the scope got so big to where they're like, oh well, actually, we should have left it right here and not so. I don't
Hmm.
know. Um, to answer your question, Kokorodaki, yes, it's going to come out in 2024. It'll deliver the goods. It'll be as good as we all hoped it would be. But it's starting to miss its window. I
Yeah.
think the further it goes down, I think that zeitgeist will be gone. And I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. I just don't know if it'll have that impact that the first Hollow Knight will have. And the further we
Yeah.
go, I think we're slowly but surely maybe losing some of that excitement.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people moved on, you know. It's like this is a perfect example. Is Attack on Titan took so long to end. And by the time we got to the final season, me and my wife were both like, we're kind of over this, dude. It's been 10 years. Like, we've moved
Hmm.
on. We don't care anymore. We've forgotten a lot of it. And we're not going to sit there and watch the entire series again just to get caught up. Like, no. So
Hmm. Yeah.
they definitely got to be careful of that. But as far as any other releases we're looking forward to that we worry may be delayed, is there anything that you can think of? I'm going to say this, and this isn't breaking the NDA. I'm just saying, I have a feeling Suicide Squad is going to get delayed again.
Mm.
And this is not
Okay.
based on anything I've played. It's a feeling I've got, man. It was supposed to come out this year, got pushed back, and I mean, it's gotten what, 2 or 3 delays already.
Yeah, depending on yes, it has. Depending on what happens, we're recording this on the precipice of the Game Awards, so we don't know anything that happened there as far
Sure.
as dates and game announcements and stuff. So depending on what gets announced there and what dates get solidified there, yeah, I could see maybe WB saying like, okay, let's maybe move it from February
Yeah.
over to April. That looks like a drier spot over there.
Yeah. Who knows, man?
We'll
Who knows?
see.
But
I don't know of any that I'm looking for that I'm worried about being delayed. I don't have any like concrete like, oh man, 2024, can't wait for X game other
Okay.
than Rebirth, which I know that's not getting delayed out
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
year, so that's fine. Um, Wolverine was rumored to be 2024, but that was never announced, and now they're saying
Yeah.
2025. I say
Yeah.
now as if like people knew it was 2024, which they didn't.
Yeah.
So maybe that, but that's not even really a delay. No, I don't have a good answer for that one. I mean, nothing really. Just kind of wait and see what happens. At this point, man, I've got so much from 2023.
I
I'd
know.
be good
It's
to not
yeah.
have anything new in
Yeah.
24. So
It's kind of weird because I'm kind of going to 2024. I'm like, can Persona 3 get pushed back by maybe a month? You know,
that's the other one up for. When is that one coming out?
I think it's February. Let me double check.
That's the other February one. I think that I was thinking of. It's so packed. A lot of RPGs. But while you're checking that,
It's
are
February
you
2nd.
okay? I was gonna sort of segue over while you're checking, but we're
Golly.
good to go.
Oh, the Final Fantasy Rebirth is at
I
the
think it's
end of the
on Leap
month,
Day. It's Leap Day,
February
I
29th.
think.
Yeah. Interesting release
Um,
date. Hmm.
yeah, that is.
Interesting. Interesting. Gosh, dude, oh man, get a new Persona at the beginning. Yeah, that and was it Trails Through Daybreak is the next Trails game? That's not getting pushed back. Like, especially since the game's already out, unless there's like some kind of like localization issue with recording the VO for the English dub or anything like that. But I don't see there being an issue with that at all.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Okay.
Kokorodaki, thank you for writing in. Alex Castellanos writes in and says, this recording is on the cusp of the big event, the Game Awards 2023. I'd like to hear your boldest predictions for new video game announcements or release date information. Don't be shy. Put your reputation out there with confidence that your prediction is the most accurate of predictions. P.S. I love the show. I thought I was going to say P.S. I love you. It's like, oh, my heart. He says, P.S. I love the show, and I'm sorry to hear that it will be sunsetting at the end of this year. Sad, crying emoji. Alex, I'm going to hug you, man. I'm hugging you right now. Not like real, but kind of that Jedi ghost hug sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? But Micah, boldest predictions for new video game announcements or release date information at the Game Awards.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things written down here. At the very top, I'll say it would be kind of weird. I don't know why I'm saying weird. I guess I don't think Square Enix. I don't see them as a Game Awards type of like dropping a huge trailer. But it might be time for that Final Fantasy IX remake that was on the Nvidia leak, which we all know is
That's
real.
right. That's right.
That's one of the only games on there that's we still haven't seen anything on. So I would love to see that's sort of a desire I'm trying to wish into existence.
Yeah.
But that is a bit of a long shot. Like if it dropped, I think some people would be pretty surprised. I'll kind of go down sort of Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. For Sony, I think like the new Uncharted. That'd be sweet.
Okay.
Like Uncharted 5 or the one with actually I won't say, that might be a spoiler. The one that doesn't star Nathan, we'll say. Or make like even there's all this tumult going on with Naughty Dog. Like they'll just drop The Last of Us 3. They Jeff Keighley has a great relationship with Naughty Dog in particular, which is why I'm calling out Uncharted and T-Lu. I wouldn't be surprised to see The Last of Us Part 3 just revealed at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Nintendo, I still think that this new console is coming sooner than we think. And so I think it would be really cool if we got not a full blown trailer, but like a teaser for the new 3D Mario game, like Odyssey 2 or whatever it is, whatever the new big, like the new Mario game for the new console, which I think is still going to be revealed like in the first 3 months of next year, I think.
Yeah.
So that would be cool. That would like rock the Game Awards. That would, particularly with the Mario movie and everything this year, I think that would be massive. And then I think Microsoft is going to purchase Jeff Keighley and the Game Awards so that they can actually get nominated for Game of the Year and the Xbox tax. Everyone can shut up about that.
What would be the cherry on top of that is if Phil Spencer comes out in just a white T-shirt and announces it.
Dude, yes.
Can you imagine?
We got to
Can you
get as
imagine?
many white T-shirt Jim Ryan jokes in before we
We
stop the
got to.
podcast as
We
humanly
got to.
possible.
Man.
No, quick aside, dude, listeners, I texted Logan when I saw that. I was crying in bed, like laughing at that image, seeing him shake that
It's
that
so
other CEO's
bizarre.
hand in like a white undershirt thing. It may be a fine like Calvin Klein designer white T-shirt.
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
know, but
$50 white
it looks
T-shirts
like
over
my
there.
Fruit of the Loom undershirt is what it
Mm-hmm.
looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so tickled.
It's so
Anyway.
awesome. It's so awesome.
No,
What?
that's all I wrote down. No, serious one for Microsoft would be it's not too much of a bold one, but we might see the next Gears of War. I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
That's not super bold. That's actually kind of boring. But I'm just thinking, like, I don't know what would surprise me out of the Microsoft camp. I guess, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I got. How about you, Logan?
So I've got a couple things. One of them I think I might have said earlier in the show. I can't quite remember, but let me just go over some of these. Starfield will drop on Xbox that night, or maybe the next day, and you'll be able to play it. It'll be on Game Pass, and you'll get to enjoy it. And not Starfield. What am I thinking?
I was
Starfield's
about to
already
say
out.
Starfield.
Baldur's Gate 3 is what I'm
I was about to
thinking
say
of.
Starfield. What you saying? Okay,
Sorry,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay,
Surprise,
yeah.
guys. We're going to get Starfield again in 2023. If you didn't play it before, they're going to remind you it exists. Actually,
Shadow
you know what?
drop.
That might still happen. They might still bring up Starfield and be like, "Hey, it exists. Go play it on Game Pass." Like, all right, cool. But no, I meant Baldur's Gate 3. My bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Um,
I'm with you.
I think okay, so I think this is going to happen. And again, this is just me trying to will it into existence. And you know what? I forgot to preface this whole section with something that happened. Taylor Swift fans know all about this. Taylor Swift fans do this thing called clowning, where they try to pretend to be prophets and predict when the next album is going to drop and all that stuff. And they're all freaking wrong all the time. They are false prophets. Me, on the other hand, I watched one music video the other day and I was like, huh, there's a 12 and a 6 in this video. Is she going to announce something on December 6th? The day which is the day that we're recording, when it arrives, she's Times Person of the Year. She has an interview and she won't shut up about redoing her Reputation Taylor's version album. I'm like, I'm just saying, there it is, right there. I'm a prophet. So all that stuff I'm about to say, probably gonna happen, okay? Or if it doesn't, then Jeff Keighley interfered and he's messing with my mojo. But this next one I'm trying to will into existence. Metroid Prime 2 Remastered gets shown off and says, hey, it's available right after the show from Nintendo.
Ooh,
Just
very
enjoy
nice.
it. Or the next day, because when is that? It's a Thursday. It'll be available tomorrow because
Yeah,
Nintendo games drop
next
on
day.
Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, Nintendo. Make me happy.
Well, sorry. Go ahead. I'll let you finish before I interject my Metroid thought. But go on.
I've got two more that I'm going to say.
Sure.
Resident Evil 5 remake gets announced or teased in some way, and we're going to see it.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, there it is. Probably not going to show gameplay. It's just going to be a little clip of like Chris doing something, or maybe it'll surprise us all. And Chris and Claire are both there, like, whoa, what's going on? You know. So I don't know.
Chainsaw guy with the bag head.
Chainsaw guy with the bag head shows up. I don't know. We'll see. Well, dude, how crazy would it be if they changed Resident Evil 5? Well, Sheva wasn't that bad of a character. Let's just say they get rid of Sheva and Claire's now with Chris again. Maybe not again. This will be the first time.
Or maybe they just tease it with him, Chris just punching that huge boulder. Like that's all it is.
Give it to me, Chris.
A slow-mo, like 10-second slow-mo of him slowly punching that boulder.
That's what I want. Man. Or imagine it's like a little gag thing where he walks into a room and he sees a boulder and he just like punches it because he's mad or something. And it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, anything like that.
Last one. Hellblade 2 gets a release date.
What's the date?
I don't know. She's gonna get one. I don't know. Maybe fall of next year.
Let's go. Make it bold.
Let's do. Hang on, let me look at my calendar. Let me pull up my calendar right here. I'm gonna go to October 2024.
Oops, that's that's a alarm. Excuse me.
When do these games come out? Is it Tuesdays?
Yeah, Tuesday. How about just a month? Just give me a month.
I'm going to give you a date, October 22nd, 2024.
October. I'll go August something. Just August
Okay.
next year is
Okay.
what I'll say
Okay.
for
Man.
Hellblade.
Dude, if that happens and it's that exact date, I'm gonna go buy a lottery ticket.
Every other day, I think like, oh yeah, I have an Xbox Series X now. I'll be able to play Hellblade.
Mhm.
Sweet. I think like I
Yes.
have that thought like every other day. Like, oh yeah, nice.
Get to go stare into a pool in HD.
Think about my thoughts in my brain.
Yeah. Think about how I don't even know, dude.
I want
Can
to
you
stop.
can you imagine?
Start talking
Oh
about all
my
these depressive thoughts.
gosh. As opposed to any other day of the year, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, yeah, those are the ones I could think of off the top of my head. Anything else outside of that is
I'm trying to think of
just
like
wishful
anything that's
thinking.
not like first part. It's just like, I know like EA is supposed to be there. There's rumors, this is like a prediction. I heard that there's gonna be like a remake of that Brothers game, Hazelight's first game.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter earlier from Video Games Chronicle. I was like, "What? I'll
But
play that again."
I'm trying to think what would be. I think there might be some Epic stuff, maybe some Fortnite stuff. But I don't
Oh,
know,
totally,
man. I
totally.
can't. I mentioned this maybe an episode or two ago. I hope we see more of that Judas game, like Ken Levine's new
Mm.
game
Ooh,
that was shown
yeah,
last year. We saw like a
yeah,
trailer for that. Like if we could see more Judas, that would be cool. I'm just
yeah,
saying what I want now. These aren't like bold predictions. This is what I want
yeah.
to see.
Sure,
Yeah. Anyway, excited for Game Awards. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah.
it is going to be a good time, as always, listeners. Well, patrons. Well, y'all will know this. We're gonna watch it in the Discord, do a little watch party, kind of hang out, have some fun with it. It'll be a good time. Be sure to head on over there as well. But with that being said, Alex, thank you for your write-in and your kind words, good sir. Now, here's a write-in from Jonathan Harrison that says, "What ideas, topics, or game series did you have in mind for the podcast, but never made an episode for?" I've got one right off the top of my head here, and we're never gonna do a Trails episode, which is a bummer.
Mm.
I would have loved to have gotten Dr. Level Up on, or even some other YouTube content creators on to talk about the series, kind of go in depth. The game has a surprising amount of religion that's like prominent at the forefront of the game. Trails in the Sky the Third is nothing but about the religion in the game and where it takes place and all that. And there's just a lot of interesting ties to Catholicism that I would have loved to have dug into, but it's never going to happen, man, which is a bit of a bummer.
Maybe not you do what you want to do as far as your content creation. Maybe it could be like, you don't have the podcast, but whenever you feel like it, you could have like one-off streams. Like, just stream it on
It's a good
YouTube.
point.
Not
It's a good
not a
point.
podcast, like stream it live, get some interaction, get
Mhm,
some
mhm,
questions tossed in
mhm.
there while you're doing a, 45-minute podcast about trails or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, just a thought.
yeah, man. So yeah, that's kind of the one that kind of came to mind pretty quick. But other than that, man, I have like a lot of goofy topics I was thinking of. The one that was popped into my head, and I really want to do a YouTube video of it, or just do an episode, not like a full fledged episode on it, but do a section of the episode where it's like what characters can breathe underwater for the longest, like, or something stupid like that. I don't know why, but that one has just always been like ingrained into my brain, and I can't get rid of it. I don't know why that's there, but that's something I wanted to do. Who knows? That might be a YouTube video, but
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
Sonic the Hedgehog if he has air bubbles.
Oh gosh, dude, that anxiety-inducing music is like in my
Boop,
head right
boop.
now. Just oh gosh, dude, Sonic is cursed. What a terrible IP that I can't stay away from. Yeah. Apart from that, though, man, I can't really think of much else because I feel like, especially last year, we tackled a lot of those games that we should have done episodes on, like Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, Chrono Trigger.
There's only one, and this is really your question, Logan, not really meant for me, but the only one that's kind of coming to mind, I can't remember if we did an episode or you and Adam or whoever. Did you ever do one on Nier Automata?
Mm,
That one would have been pretty good to do an episode on, maybe.
well,
I
Now
can't
that you
remember if you did or not.
say that, let me mute myself for a second so I can type on my keyboard. But we might have. Let me check.
The themes of that game and just it's worth a deep dive. I think. Gosh, I'd have to replay it again to even kind of refresh everything. One of the things I remember that was so crazy about that game, it was the first game I ever encountered where it's like you can just purchase like the PlayStation trophies with like in-game currency. Like, hey, just want to buy these trophies? Like, wait, what?
What a concept! What a concept! What is that? What is that developer's name? Is it Yoko Ono or something like that, or is that like a
No,
musician that I'm thinking of?
Yoko Taro. Yoko
Thank you,
Taro.
Yoko Taro. Yeah, dude, what a mad lad doing that. And I'm looking at our archives of episodes. We never did an episode on Near Automata, and we should have. But
Yeah, I thought maybe that was absent. I'm not saying we should have, quote unquote, but it's just that's a game that can
it would
have
have been
some meaty
fun.
discussion
Yeah, it would
around
have been
it.
fun. Would have been fun 100%. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that we just I mean we did. I mean when you think about when you think about how long the show's been around and all the stuff that we've covered, we
Yeah.
covered a lot of ground. Probably some episodes I bet people wish we wouldn't have done, like The Last of Us Part 2, but we did it anyway because that's just how we roll.
Yeah.
I mentioned one earlier, we're not going to get to do Grand Theft Auto 6, which is a bummer. And I don't, now that I think about it, I don't think we ever did one on Grand Theft Auto 5, which would have been a good one to do.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm just looking at some of the things here. We did Shin Megami Tensei, we did Sea of Thieves, we did Tales of
I
Arise,
would
Skyward Sword.
I would
Man.
say didn't you have Matt Millsap on for The Last of Us Part 2 and Part
Mm-hmm.
1?
Mm-hmm.
Those any episode with Matt is I would highly recommend.
Yep.
I so love that you got him on for Last of Us Part 2 because he's I feel like one of the few voices that I can think of that can
Mm-hmm.
properly dissect that game
Yeah.
from an objective point of view.
Yeah.
And The Last of Us is a series that obviously is gets a lot of, I think, unnecessary heat.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Matt does a great job of chopping that up. So I would recommend that Last of Us Part 2
Yeah.
episode for sure.
And if I may, I am. So here's the thing: when that remake, whatever they're calling it, for Part 2 got announced, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, $5, $10 upgrade, whatever. Yeah, I think I'm gonna check it out. And then I saw like just people on Twitter just crapping on it, throwing a fit, like, why did you suggest? I'm just like, I'm not looking forward to this kicking back up again.
I don't know why people have to poop on it. Why does it exist? It's not for you.
Yeah,
It's for people who have never played. It's not even for the people like it's for Uber fans. I saw Neil
sure,
Druckmann say something like think of it like a Criterion collection for a movie.
yeah,
I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
like
that's exactly
no
what it
one
is.
has a problem with that.
Well,
Um,
and it's not even just that. Like they're giving you what is it, like 3 new game modes? One of them's like a roguelike sort of thing. I'm
yeah,
actually interested in checking out, but I don't know, man. I know I'm gonna be picking it up. I'm just not looking forward to the just people throwing a fit over it
same.
online again because it's just so tired at this point. It's
Yeah,
like, come on, let's
just
move
people
on.
throwing fits about everything is
Yeah.
so tired.
Yeah. It's very just annoying. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. As far as games and stuff, man, I'm looking through our list of episodes here, and good grief, dude, we've covered so much.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really great when you think back, especially even just taking all the like single game deep dives, God of War, Last of Us, BioShock,
mhm,
whatever it is. Just count those up, and you got a great library of
dude,
episodes right there.
it's wild looking back at this. I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit here because
You're
we'll
about
talk
to get
about
misty eyed right here on this
maybe not
episode.
maybe
Getting
not
early.
misty eyed. It's one of those things where like you do something for so long and you just kind of don't think about it, and then when you look back at like everything you have done, you're like, good grief, did we really put out this many episodes? Like, I
I
mean,
mean, this is the kind of
wow,
stuff, Logan. I guess this is sort of we're getting to talk that might be best for next episode, but this is the kind of stuff where you'll go back, or maybe you will, or maybe you won't. I don't know. Like when you're 55 years old, and you'll go back, like let me
yeah,
go pull a random TRG episode and go listen to it, and you'll just enjoy the
man,
heck out of it.
yeah,
Listen to 2018. You and Adam talk about Concrete
something.
Genie or something.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, this is wild going back. Oh man, dude. We need to move on. Um, I will say I'm glad we did the PCMR episodes, like talking about building PCs, dispelling some of the myths around
Yeah.
those and things like that. I think that was really good. But So yeah, I'm
Those were good
reminiscing now
episodes
at
as
this
well.
point. We've gotten so
Hmm.
far away from Jonathan's question here that I'm trying to steer it back on track here. But yeah, John. Other than that, though, those are the ones there, like Trails, and I'm sure we're gonna play some other games um, that would have been a lot of fun. Alan Wake 2 is one that it's gonna be a bummer that we won't get to do, but
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, I think that's it. Topics and stuff. I'd really have to think about this more deeply because I'm sure I'll have several ideas tomorrow that pop into my head, or I'll be going through my notes app and find my ideas pad and go with
Right.
those. But for the time being, those are the ones that I can think of. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? But Jonathan, thank you for writing in. John Carr writes in and says, with TRG coming to a close, what video game podcast do you guys recommend? If I may just be transparent, I don't really listen to a whole lot of gaming podcasts outside of Last Stand Media. So it's not the cleanest thing in the world, you know. But that's
But
the
it
only one
is the highest recommended
it's
thing.
the highest recommend. It's the highest quality one that I've come across in my opinion. And it just, I think it's well worth checking out. There's a reason I'm supporting them on Patreon at not the highest tier, but one of the higher end tiers. But that's the one that I would recommend personally.
Yeah,
Micah,
of
what about
course.
you?
We always, I feel like we bring up Colin's name every other episode.
Mm-hmm.
He's just got such great viewpoints. He's got such great perspective with how long he's been in the industry.
Yeah.
He is a scholar of the industry, in particular for Colin, at least of PlayStation. And of course, he's got they have everything under the sun under the Last Stand umbrella.
Yeah.
They got their Nintendo podcast, Punching Up. They have Defining Duke with Lord Cognito and Mr. Matty Plays for the Xbox crowd, and that podcast is great.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to all that stuff. Um, uh, to uh, to bounce off another one, I guess, besides Last Stand, I would say this one's been recommended before, but the SG Bitcast, or the Seasoned Gaming Bitcast,
Yep.
with that is hosted by a guy named Ainsley Bowdens, who is really knowledgeable as well. Good dude. Ty Guy Travis, who does a lot of like freelance reviews for IGN. We got Rick Hogue over there,
Yep.
Mr. Gaming Lawyer Extraordinaire, who is a great resource. That's a great podcast. And then, of course, I've already mentioned our friends over at the Backlog Breakdown. If you're looking for a good kind of more of a local, Christian-centric podcast, you can't go wrong with Nate
Yeah.
and Josh over at the Beatdown, or over at the Backlog Breakdown, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Nate and Josh do some really solid work over there as well. But yeah, that's really it. I've noticed, like, I was trying to like think through this because someone had commented on our last episode on Spider-Man 2. Just any recommendations for like Christian gaming podcasts, and I was kind of sitting there thinking through it. I'm like, dude, I've noticed that this year's been weird because some of the people I've networked with, like Shadeless, Aki and Peach, Reformed Jedi, like they're all
Yeah,
off doing other things now, man. And then we're getting out of the game, and it's just like, dude, what is happening here? The only other person I can really recommend is Pastor Dustin, who we've had on the show a couple times
right.
before. But I went to check his YouTube channel, and I follow him on Twitter and stuff, so I know he's busy. But it just seems like he hasn't been able to stream in a little bit here. Maybe he's streaming on Twitch and nothing going. I don't know. I haven't been able to keep up with some of these folks for the longest time. But he's definitely one I would recommend too if you are into streaming, like watching that content, watching people play games. Really, just rock solid dude that I would recommend. So definitely worth checking those out. And Pastor Deucin, if you're listening, man, maybe consider starting a podcast. I don't know. I'm just saying. But no, he's super busy. I don't think he could add another thing into his schedule. But John, hopefully that helps. And then next up is John. We've had 3 Johns in a row. John Hannon writes in, and we got into this a little bit earlier, but he writes in and says, are there any upcoming games or events that you'll be sad to not cover once the podcast is ended? We've kind of went over several of those, but let me say this for an upcoming game. It bums me out that I'm not going to get to do an episode on Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah.
Bruh. We did one for Persona 4. We did one for 5. And we'll get to do one for 3.
Yeah, that's a good one. I would toss in. I've mentioned it a whole bunch here recently. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. What they're doing with that game is pretty neato. with the story and
Pretty
everything.
neato.
It's worth it. It's worthy of its own episode kind of stuff. So that would be one as far as like a game release. I'm
Yeah,
always gonna miss quote unquote covering things like
yeah,
the Game Awards, or things like we'll be doing that a little bit next episode, or things
yeah,
like a good PlayStation showcase, or a
yeah,
good Xbox E3 event, or something like that. I love that's some of my very favorite stuff in the
yeah,
industry. So I'll always miss those. And yeah, just the general kind of just catching up and kind of staying up to date on kind of what we're playing, kind of just bouncing off what we like about these games back and forth is
yeah,
what I'm gonna miss.
yeah,
But yeah, I guess just outside of the typical like big events and stuff, Rebirth is the one game I can think of that sort of comes to mind, I
yeah,
suppose.
yeah. Man, I was just even thinking too, we're not going to be able to cover the next Nintendo console when that shows. I mean, unless they announce it or tease something at the Game Awards, but just have to wait and see, man. That's going to be a
Yeah,
bummer. And I just thought of another topic that I wish we would have done. It's like an updated PC episode, kind of going over the parts, get the Steam Deck involved in that a little bit, and go from there
yeah,
too. But
yeah.
oh well, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. As always, though, some of those topics you can discuss and bring up yourself in our Discord. I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I just want to point that out. Again, patrons, thank you for writing in to this episode. And we're going to kind of close out the episode there with some recos first and foremost. Those are things that, if you're new to the show, hey, hi, hello, welcome. You're coming in kind of at the tail end of our show here. But, some things to check out, some things to kind of, peruse at your own leisure after you end this episode. Micah, what you got for our listeners this week?
Absolutely nothing, because I forgot.
Awesome.
No, about 30 seconds before you got to Recos, I'm like, crap, I don't got nothing for
Yeah.
Recos. No, I for real don't. I guess what I'll talk about is if you've been missing that plastic guitar or those plastic drums, just go plop down a couple $100, get you that, and get you some Guitar Hero or some Rock Band back in your life.
You know what, guys? Forget these new games like Call of Duty. Who you don't need it. Alan Wake. Who you don't need it. These other games, no. What you need in your life is a Rock Band. Yet again, go spend your Christmas
Dude,
money and get
it's
the
been
band back
such
together.
a like again. We're going to talk about next episode if we can get Skinner on the horn, about how he has revitalized that game in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm playing it almost every day again, just a couple songs a
Wow,
day,
dude.
maybe. Not quite every day, but I gotta get our ranking up in our crew. That doesn't happen if you don't play.
Fair
Um,
enough.
I guess it's a live service game a little bit. Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't have a record. I just want to talk about Guitar Hero and Rock Band, how much I love
I
them.
love
And I
it.
think I'm just saying, if you feel like you've been missing it in your life, you probably have, and you should go rectify that and go
Yeah.
grab that guitar that you sold 7 years ago and get it back, and play some place. I was about to say something like probably like super like bad heavy metal song. Anyway, just
Mm-hmm.
play some songs that you like.
Yeah.
And yeah, I should probably stop talking now.
Fair enough. I love it. It's funny you bring that up because I actually bought Guitar Hero 3 for the Wii last year, I think, because like we had gotten a Wii and we dusted it off. We're like, dude, we should get Guitar Hero. And unfortunately, the guitar we got doesn't really work all that great, so we're bummed out by that. But
Oh,
it's a good time. It's a good time, man. Speaking of good times, my recos are. I think I've recommended this once before, but I'm going to recommend it again just because the episode released to public feeds recently. And that is the crossover episode I got to do with Cinematic Doctrine. And we discussed the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which I actually really enjoyed, and it got me to go play some of the games, which I will never play again after like doing so for an hour because it's too scary. But yeah, the movie was good. It had a lot of cool themes, a lot of interesting things in there, and so if you are interested in that, definitely go check that out. Link will be in your show notes. My second reco is one of those things where a friend shared it with me, and it was so remarkable that I have to share it with everybody else. I'm not going to explain it beyond that. I'm just going to say there's a link in your show notes that's called Mystery Christmas Song. Click it. It'll open Spotify and just enjoy.
Oh
That's all I'm gonna
my,
say.
what a tease. This is the best Reco ever. I love this.
I'm just saying. People are either going to be really elated or they're going to hate me. One of the two.
This
One of
is
the
the kind
two.
of tease that you can't not click it. It's like
Mhm.
clickbait almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that red button where it says don't push it. It's like, well, now I got to put it. It's kind of like when you get your plate at a restaurant and they're like, don't touch a hot plate. I'm like, well, how hot is it exactly? You know? Let me see.
Yeah.
Let me see. But yeah, that is for you in your show notes, dear listeners. And that is episode 256. As always, if you want to continue to contact us or connect with us in any different way, there's a lot of ways you can do so. Things like going over to YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, as always, hit the like button down below, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And again, thank you all for 2,000 subscribers over there as well. Our website is still up, thereformedgamers.com until January 6th. That's when it will revert to thereformedgamers.wordpress.com. Everything else will stay up there, though. And then you can follow us on Twitter for a little bit longer. But really, the best way to get in contact with us or get connected with the community is going to the Discord server. Link will be in your show notes for that. With that being said, dear listeners, thank you for tuning into this episode of The Reformed Gamers. And until next time, be a dear, keep it locked here, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to TRG. The show is fully supported over on patreon.com by our dear listeners. The following are our supporters at the producer level or higher, and we are thankful for their continued support that allows us to continue doing what we do here at TRG. Those people are Mr. Butts, David Matthews, Richard Marroquin, and Alan Z. Thank you again for your continued support over on patreon.com, where you can pledge your support to the show and get early uncut access to all of our episodes, behind the scenes, and more. Thank you for listening, and until next time, be a dear, keep it locked here. We'll see you in the next episode.